Welcome to the Political Matrix News. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the political matrix. This is the Political Matrix News. I'm Rob Milford. Scott Miller is here. Greg Fink is here. As they used to say in Mad Magazine, the usual gang of idiots. But the difference is we actually know what we're talking about when it comes to politics, whether it's in the Panhandle or in the Peninsula, anywhere from, Pensacola to Pinellas Park. I was looking for other alliteration, but you get the idea. Oh, Port, yeah, that too. It is the day after the Veep debate. So we're doing this on Wednesday, the 2nd of October. If anybody's counting, I think it's now 33 days. I don't agree with the date. Yeah. How many? Well, see, I don't get that because the election day would be 0, and so Monday would be true. 1 day before. So I disagree. I've been listening to Sean Hannity when, it was 379 days, 142, 97. And you go, is it ever going to get here? And now it's here and we're all scared to death. Come on, let's be honest, okay? I'm not scared. You're not scared?
I'm not scared anymore.
I'm not scared. I survived Biden coming in there. I don't think it's going to happen again. But when you look at what the worst there was.
Okay, Scott, turn your microphone down. You're overmodulating. Turn your mic down, Scott. So, just it's a little on the loud side. All right. So,
I'm a little on the loud side, so it's kind of hard to.
Absolutely true. So since we visited with you last, Florida and Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina and Tennessee and Kentucky all got hit by Hurricane Helene. It is going to be the deadliest storm in the United States since Katrina 19 years ago. I was in Katrina. I am well qualified to talk about that. I was there when they were finding bodies on day 1, and then I was in New Orleans as they continued to find body after body after body. And let me tell you something. It's going to be the same way up in the hills of North Carolina. We're not talking about, the Clampetts up there in a cabin with their still. We're talking about people who have multi-million-dollar houses. They bought the whole mountain so they could put an expensive place up there, but they didn't go to the top. They're on the side, and that whole hillside gave way, and the trees fell down on them. They found a couple today, maybe it was yesterday, an older couple in their house that were holding each other when a tree fell right there and crushed them both inside the house. It reminds me of the Titanic. There were people doing that on the Titanic, supposedly. Really? But Greg, of course, we feel terrible about this because it is an incredible, it is a natural disaster, the likes of which we have not seen in that particular part of the world. Biggest natural disaster in North Carolina history. They've had a few hurricanes over the years, but in terms, right now, it's the whole storm, 160. That includes Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. 30 of those are in Buncombe County, and that's Asheville. And actually, I think 50 of those 160 are in that county alone. And that number is expected to go into the several hundreds. And when you see it creep up day by day, well, we've found 3 more, 4 more, and so on.
Right, exactly.
And that's the way it's going to be for months. I tell you, because people were probably driving, and we got to get out of here. And they're driving, and whoop, the whole hillside goes down into the river. They're going across the bridge. Here comes the wall of water. They are sailing downstream. And cars have a tendency to not float. Just some crazy stuff.
Just looking it up real quick, and prior to Helene, the strongest storm to hit North Carolina was Hazel back in 54.
There you go, before our time.
Yeah, you got to go way back.
And nobody blamed it on Donald Trump, interestingly enough.
or climate change, and it actually came out of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. So, but Greg Fink has done the research, and he tells us that Helene could have a very interesting impact on what's going to be happening in 30-some days, the first Tuesday of November. Greg, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the areas that Helene hit deadly and tragically were on the Gulf Coast of Florida, which on the coastline I mean, of that part of Florida is primarily Democrat and primarily, more on the moderate to liberal side through the Cedar Key area, the Sinhatchee area. Although there are more rural individuals, but majority are registered Democrat through that area and everything. And also the Democrat areas of Georgia and Atlanta and Macon and Athens and those parts of Georgia that traditionally vote Democrat. A lot of these people don't have power anymore. They don't have mailboxes. A lot of people actually have lost their lives, and so they're not on the voter rolls anymore, or shouldn't be.
Or shouldn't be. We don't know if they're going to be. Just because they're dead doesn't mean they're not going to be voting.
Exactly. And we had dead voters vote, 4 years ago and 8 years ago. So we want to have dead voters voting again. Who knows? Because if I requested their absentee ballots already, and North Carolina started early voting. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? And so a big part of North Carolina, that
2
was
weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And a big part of North Carolina that got hit is the Asheville area, which is a very liberal area. And it's a very strong liberal area. And so, an election that's this close, you have the Electoral College the way it is. You have North Carolina very much in a very close play now. And Georgia, which was leaning Kamala in a very close play toward Trump, because a lot of people still don't have power. I don't think the election is on the top of their mind. I think survival is. And that's the reality here that the Democrats are going to be faced with in this national election whenever they gear it down to just the Southeast. And the South, once again, controls everything. And with this storm being the way it is and the conditions of reality being the way they are, it's gonna have a lot of play politically and who the next president is.
Wow.
Well, I agree with you on all those takes, honestly, because the bottom line is that you can't, voters are finicky and fickle as they can be, and the most reliable voters are the elderly. And the problem is in an area like that, we got a month to come out, and there'll be a lot. There's going to be a lot of. They'll have power by the time the election rolls around for sure.
Well, parts of North Carolina may not.
I guess there are some, especially mountain areas.
Asheville's upside down. Yeah.
That are going to be a problem. But even more in support of what you were saying is it let's just take the power out of the equation.
Okay.
Traveling's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of things that are problematic for a long time. And even though there are some dedicated voters that are going to show up, there are a lot of likely voters, and the most likely voters, the most vulnerable voters, there's a lot of them that are going to just choose to sit this one out, especially if they were on the fence to begin with.
How are you going to bus them there? How are you going to transport them there? A lot of the Democrats focus on busing voters to the polls and transportation and communications. And right now, they have to depend on Starlink to communicate. And Starlink is, given to them by Elon Musk. And he's actually providing Starlink for free to a lot of people in North Carolina for them to communicate. I don't know how that's going to work for the Democrats.
I'll tell you what we can do. I'll tell you what we can do is there have been several storms in Florida that have been very substantial. And and Hurricane Ivan is probably not the least of which. And we can go back because these things hit. Hurricane Ivan hit during an election,
right? Exactly.
So we can actually go back and see what the negative impact was on likely voters.
Yeah, I do remember. I was working very actively in 2004. I had like around 8 campaigns going on that year, and the turnout was very, very low. Very low.
And I remember that too. But I think the important thing for us to do is quantify it because where are people going to get information like that if they don't go to people like us who are election professionals who've been doing this for 30 years? We have been in the middle of this for a long time. We know where to look, and I think it'd be a good idea for us to go ahead and take a look at how Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa County turned out versus other counties, that are similar with similar demographics. Honestly, just comparing Escambia and Okaloosa would be pretty enlightening because Okaloosa is very demographically like Escambia County, but it wasn't nearly as hard hit as Escambia and Santa Rosa County were by Hurricane Ivan.
Yeah, well,
by the way, for people who are not Floridians or don't know all 67 counties, Escambia is Pensacola, the westernmost county. in the Panhandle, and the next one over from that is Santa Rosa. The next one over from that is Okaloosa, and then the fourth county in is Walton County.
Right.
Just put that on the map. That's your
Well,
last.
yeah,
That's your last tower.
And I'm glad you did that because I forgot. I mean, you live in the middle of your own geography, and you assume everyone understands it.
Right.
But I think that having Okaloosa and Escambia County, I think those are two. Like I said, they're very demographically alike. They're very ideologically alike.
Yeah.
And I'd be interested to see what the comparison is, especially factoring in Santa Rosa County, and see what sort of decline we see, if any.
And for those who don't know, Santa Rosa County is a county where P. Diddy was hanging out with Matt Gaetz in Navarre High School. And so,
oh, come
just
on.
side note.
Come on. What?
No, actually, 2 years ago, there were a ton of some individuals, and they called it P. Diddy High, and everybody thought it was a hoax or something. But in all reality, Matt Gaetz, P. Diddy was doing some fundraising for some of Matt Gaetz's nonprofits, and he had introduced P. Diddy to some students at Navarre High School 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, wait a minute! Whoa! We gotta get that. We gotta get that picture.
I just want to go ahead and put Santa Rosa County on the map there with that. And so
Santa Rosa,
wow.
Was Niceville in Walton or Okaloosa?
No, Navarre High School.
Navarre High.
That's just Okaloosa.
Oh,
this is Navarre High School.
Navarre High School,
what's Navarre Times, Navarre News?
Oh, it's the
Santa Rosa News. Yeah.
South Santa Rosa News. Yeah.
What's her name that runs
Romy
that?
White.
Romy White.
Yeah. Call Romy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, she may not remember, may not have tumbled to it. Do you know how much Democrats would give for that picture? Any idea? Bueller? Back to back? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, yep. Now. Of course now. Oh, my God.
And right now, that rumor started last week, and Channel 3 was saying, oh, it's just people doxing Matt Gaetz, and people were redoing the Google algorithm to relive history and to rewrite history. And these were people who actually knew, who had students there, and I remember it happening because I remember thinking it was weird. I think
Scott, you got Romy's phone number?
Do I have what?
Romy's phone number.
Oh, I'm sure I do, man. I got 10,000 names in my little Rolodex.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find it here somewhere on YouTube. I'm sure it has it.
No, it doesn't matter. I've got it. I'm sure I do.
Yeah. Got it. Sorry it took so long. I'll send it to you, to both of you. And send it to. Let's see. Oh yeah. I have a Greg and Scott icon. So there we go. There you go. You got it.
And so that being said, I think the hurricane is going to be very, very pivotal in the election turnout and how.
Okay, Florida.
dictate.
Okay, in Florida. Do we think is Rick Scott going to have an issue?
Oh no, I think Rick Scott's going to be fine.
Okay, so what else is there?
0.5%. He'll do his regular landslide of 0.5 to 1%.
Well, I don't know. I think you're right that this is going to have a much more significant impact on Democrats, especially in a statewide contest.
Okay. Well,
but Georgia, I think is pretty safe. I mean, we don't have anybody really ever on Georgia's statewide election that's really in play to lose on the Republican side. I think Kemp is going to win pretty easily.
What is Stacey Abrams running for this time around? U.S. Senate, Pope, Secretary General of the United Nations?
I haven't heard of anything yet.
She has to. Isn't she like the Harold Stassen of modern Southern politics? She's running for everything and then says she was cheated every time she loses.
Everybody cheats when they lose, okay?
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so South Carolina, I don't know. We do know that the Republican running for governor in North Carolina.
He's a hoot.
Hoot is not the word I would use. People, when they talked about J.D. Vance, what was the word for J.D.? Weird?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Is it Mark Robinson? Is that his name?
Yes. I would add an effing weird to that.
Yeah. Our RFN, as in real.
Yeah.
RFW. I was thinking right freaking
He
now.
is bizarre as anything.
Yeah, and don't forget, it wasn't that long ago that he was the guy standing up at the school board or city council in Greensboro. It's a classic clip. It was over
Right.
YouTube, and he was so wonderfully well spoken, and he summarized. He did the extended version of "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." And then
Right.
somebody talked him into
That worked.
running, and he ran and he beat him to death. And then he, what was it, city council, county commission, whatever. A couple years later, boom, he's running for lieutenant governor of North Carolina, gets elected. I don't know what this guy did beforehand. I have no idea. And his rise to say meteoric is, I think, putting it mildly. And now after one hitch as the lieutenant governor, running for governor. And all of a sudden, if that scores, then he is huge in a lot of different levels. But now with all of the stupid things he's come out and said, people of North Carolina may go, oh, no. We don't need a homegrown crazy man.
I heard the Democrat incumbent in North Carolina has actually endorsed Trump.
That's funny.
And so that's what I heard. So
what did I say? My cousin's old congressman was Democrat from South Georgia, was Democrat, but he voted Republican, so that made everybody happy.
Right.
They had all the denial they needed. So there was that. But again, that was back in the 70s. It's an older cousin. Gotcha. All right. By the way, on the political matrix, we have all these buttons on board that something about liking and sharing and even subscribing. It's vitally important that you do preferably all of the above every time you watch one of these clips. We try to have a little fun. We don't necessarily, if guns magically appear, there you go. If guns magically appear to our heads right now through the visualization of AI, I don't know that any of us could tell you a good joke or even a decent joke or even a funny joke. I would be completely out. They'd be pulling the trigger and I'd be splattered all over the wall. But it's important that we try. Okay, I don't have it. But the point being, we really would appreciate it. The subscription part will be free as long as you are still on this planet, and until we're like really, really desperate for money, and then we'll charge you like 10 cents a week or something. And so go ahead and enjoy that. By the way, if you saw our Tumblr, our political matrix Tumblr, right? Okay. Guess what we did? We shrank it down into a much more convenient side. I'm trying to get the right. There we go. Political Matrix News.
Perfect.
Right there. And it's on there not one, not two, but 3 and 4 times. Absolutely gorgeous. There's no doubt about it. $24.95. Cash, check, money orders, baby chicks, Zelle, Cash App, Apple Pay. What are the other ways people can spend their money on us, Greg?
I think that's about it. That covers everything.
That's enough. That covers it. I mean,
we also
send
we
us
can do
cash.
cats and dogs, but we're not doing that.
$25. We'll send you a nickel and one of those back, and that covers it all. No tax. We're going to hide from the tax man, as the Who said. As long as the police and the tax man miss me, and what you're shaking your head. Of course, you're going to take the tax out of the $25 or $24.95. That's not a problem. We try to keep things interesting here. Scott did not even react at all. Didn't even lift an eyebrow, which I think is really interesting. Oh, his screen was frozen. That makes sense.
You're working on research.
Oh,
I'm research.
All right. Did you email Romy?
Because I got to know.
Did you email Romy?
No, I'm not emailing Romy.
All right, I'm going to text her.
That's Greg's baby.
Oh,
what?
Really? When did you all date, Greg?
No.
No, I mean the project of emailing her is Greg's baby.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification. I don't need to be stepping on anybody's toes here being married people.
Yeah, no doubt.
Exactly. I am not P. Diddy. Have you all seen 50 Cent's feud with P. Diddy? Oh my goodness, that's a big feud. I guess 50 Cent is doing a documentary about everything he knew about P. Diddy. It's being put out by 50 Cent and Dr. Dre on the whole West Coast.
Yeah, he is. He's not happy. He is not a fan. I mean, there may be P Diddy had a lot of fans, but he ain't one of them.
No, he's not.
Well, one of the lawyers involved in the lawsuit against for victims, he's on the victim side, who have all filed suit against young Mr. Combs, has said the list of name brand celebrities who were involved in all of this freaky stuff is going to blow you away. Pun intended. I can safely assure you, everybody, that Greg Fink is not on the list, and I am not on the list. Scott Miller, we're not sure of.
Yeah,
take it.
I'm not. I look pretty cool, but I'm not cool enough to go to a Diddy party.
I think allegedly Jay-Z and Beyonce are.
How about Matt Gaetz? Do you think Matt Gaetz went to a Diddy party?
Matt Gaetz probably is. I mean, P. Diddy actually did raise money for Matt Gaetz, and he has allegedly raised money for Matt Gaetz. I have to go back and see exactly how he put the campaign name on that, because he has raised money for Republican Party people in Florida. I mean, he lives in Florida as well, and a lot of the parties are in Florida.
Has a house in Miami and New York and LA, and I believe Georgia.
That's actually where Nestor lives at now. Nestor lives in Miami.
Oh, Nestor was going to be Matt Gaetz' stepson?
Yeah, his adopted son, or whatever son. Not son. Unson. The son he said he had, but he doesn't really have it anymore. He lost his son, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, no. I think he misplaced him, maybe.
He might have misplaced him. He might have misplaced his son when he got a new wife. And so,
the other one, they were like a serious engagement. In fact, the Christmas card I have from Don Gates, which is somewhere in this office, now basically said, we're so looking forward to adding what's her name to the family this year. What's her name? Esther to the family this year. That was his sister?
That was his sister, yeah.
Oh, okay. So was Matt Gaetz trying to emulate Jeb Bush and marry a Hispanic Latina?
So technically, if he was going to be marrying Nestor's sister, it would have been Nestor would have been his brother-in-law, not son.
Yeah, that would be brother-in-law. You're right. All right, we're going to wrap this. We're going to wrap this one up as we are getting lost in the wordplay of who's related to who and why is that. When we come back for our next adventure, our next episode, guess what? We're going to talk about the vice presidential debate. It's the only one you're ever going to see between these two guys, and we'll get into that on the next edition of the Political Matrix News.